Hello, everyone. Welcome to Elevating Your Life. I have just an awesome guest for us today. It's just what a blessing to share with you so many wonderful guests. I'm thrilled. We have with us today Angela A. Wicks. She's a certified medical Reiki master, certified massage therapist, ordained interfaith minister of spiritual healing, and intuitive medium in training. She is the author of Llewellyn's Little Book of Unicorns and has contributed her writing to The Edge, Elephant Journal, and Llewellyn's Complete Book of Mindful Living. She's also the author of The Secret Psychic. And today we are going to talk about her latest book, which is absolutely amazing. I enjoyed it so much. It is called Finding Your Calm: 12 Methods to Release Anxiety, Relieve Stress, and Restore Peace. Oh, Angela, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you here, and I so enjoyed your book. Oh my gosh, what a gift to us.
That's so good to hear.
I love it.
I'm glad that it seems to be reaching people.
Yeah, oh, so many great messages in there. Well, first off, tell us kind of what prompted you to write this awesome book, and where did that inspiration come from?
Yeah, so I definitely cannot take full credit on this one. I was previously an acquiring editor at Llewellyn. I was there for 11 years as an acquisitions editor. And in part of that role, we're always coming up with book ideas and then finding people to write those book ideas. And so in this case, we actually got a proposal submission from author Shannon Urizari, and her idea was on ASMR, or that's the autonomous sensory meridian response. It's a method or just a term that kind of describes, if people aren't familiar with it, it is describing like the tingling or static like goosebumps sensation that you get in response to specific triggering audio or visual stimuli. So the example that I always give, because I was not familiar with what this was, like when I read about it, I was like, what? I don't know if I get this. But once I started paying attention to it, it was like, oh my gosh, I totally get this. Bob Ross videos is a really good example that a lot of people get this kind of, it's almost like your brain is getting a massage and you're just like
Oh,
super soothed and like kind of hypnotized. You just kind of like are really soothed and calmed by, it could be someone brushing your hair, or maybe you're listening to someone, like an audio of someone whispering. There's so much like range of potential of how it could be used, or what might trigger you into this ASMR experience. But she submitted a proposal on this idea, and we were like, oh, this is so intriguing. It's such a good idea, but we don't know that it would make for a good like entire book. We don't know that readers would fully come to that because it's so visual and audio based in the way that you're experiencing it. So we kind of brainstormed from there and came up with this idea of, well, what if we did a book that focuses for why people might be coming to ASMR, which is for stress relief, to calm yourself, which is definitely a topic that we are all needing. And then bringing in people specific to different topics and their specialty areas, and bringing that specialty and their unique knowledge into one single book. And that is how this book came about.
yes. And you have so many different wonderful things in here. For example, you had calming techniques for empaths. The
Yes.
information, I've always felt I'm an empath, and oh, the information you shared and the techniques, it was fantastic.
Yeah, that is always one of my favorite areas too, because I myself am a very sensitive person. So the empath material always speaks to my heart. But Christy Robinette wrote that particular chapter, and she has a book that she wrote. It's called Embrace Your Empathy, that is entirely on the topic of empaths, and she contributed a great chapter for this
I
particular book
love
on
it.
that.
I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And another thing in there was visualization techniques. Those were fantastic.
yeah. Yeah, and that's with Shanda Parkinson. So the one of the things that I really love about how this book came together, and Amy Glazer was another of the acquiring editors. She and I partnered to kind of like hone in on what the topics were going to be and which authors were going to contribute. So shout out to Amy Glazer.
Love it.
um,
Teamwork.
yes, definitely. Um, One of the things that I really love about how this came together is that it offers it offers tools and insight that people might not normally find when they're looking for resources for stress relief and anxiety and all that type of thing. And so it it has this really unique offering. You know, we get into astrology. That's not something that I would think about initially for like, oh my gosh, I have anxiety, I'm going to look at astrology. But that's included. You know, the vagus nerve is included with Cindy Dale. She does a really good job on
Oh, I
covering
loved
that.
that. You know,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
you know,
There's
a lot of us don't realize how amazing the vagus nerve is.
Yeah, I know. I know. When I started becoming more familiar with it, it was like, oh my gosh, like this could actually help with stress and anxiety. Maybe it could help with some digestion issues I'm having. You know, it could help with some sleep things. It's a very, very intriguing topic to realize how much the vagus nerve can impact and how you can use it as a tool to improve your wellness.
Amazing, amazing. And something wonderful that you said in there is something, you know, simple, but yet so important, giving ourselves permission to heal. You know, that's very important.
Right, yes, because it can become like an active, like when you're picking up this book, it becomes an active, engaging process that you're making this decision to try these practices and see what works for you.
So what were a couple of your favorite chapters that really did a lot for you in the information and the sharing and what that was? What were your favorites?
So I would say, as I said before, the empath chapter with Christy Robinette, but also there's a chapter from Amy Shear on EFT or tapping, where you do like the tapping points. Um, that to me always ends up being really powerful because it's a technique that I always for some reason forget about. And so being reminded of it again is always very useful to me because it's just reinforcing that message when I'm in those moments where I could use some support, like, oh yeah, okay, there's this thing that's
Walk,
very easy to
yeah,
do.
walk us through that. Tell us about that and what that is.
Yeah, so I'm not a practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the material right in front of me, but the basics of it are you're tapping on specific points. So you usually start with, it's called the karate chop point on your hand, and you say a statement, something like, even though I am feeling really anxious right now, I deeply love myself. It's something along those lines. And you're tapping the points, and then you keep tapping the points and saying your statement. Then under the eye, the chin, the collar, it's under the arm. And then you just do that repeatedly, saying your statement over and over again. And it works on the meridian points in Chinese medicine. It's the meridian points, and then energy psychology. It's just like it's moving the energy. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, I just was wow because I myself was not familiar with that. And that is really fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. I have like there was um an instance a couple of months ago where I kind of got caught in, I was overwhelmed, I was kind of overstimulated. I was having like um kind of a resurgence of grief and I couldn't get myself out of it. So I was just crying and crying and crying. You know, it had been a couple hours. So it was like, okay, I need some way to soothe myself and snap myself out of it. And I finally started tapping. I finally was like, oh yeah, there's this thing I can do. And so I started doing it and it really helped. It finally like helped that wave pass instead of me cycling and being stuck in it. So yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It is. And, so many things and avenues that you share in the book are really tools that we need, that everyone needs, with life and that, and to learn these, and it just amazing. I
Yeah.
love doing one of the visualizations. It was like, wow, okay, I'm going to do that all the time.
Yep, like this is in my tool bag now, officially.
That is so
Yeah,
fun.
and the chapter that I ended up writing on is on good sleep practices. And that is a topic that I just always need reminders on. So like I'm not a
Tell
sleep
us about that, because
specialist, but
that is something that is so needed by so many.
yeah. Yeah,
Please
it's
tell us more about that.
so it's something that I've actually struggled with since I was a kid, and my sister did too. I think it's just something with our wiring. I know with neurodiverse people, ADHD, autism, that type of thing, sleep challenges can actually be a big part of it. Um, but for everyone in general, I think sleep in itself can be just a challenge at certain points in your life, especially when you're stressed out. So, over the years, I have gathered tools on my own from therapists, from whatever other resources, and I just pulled that knowledge all together in this chapter where I'm kind of highlighting how you can optimize your environment for sleep. So before you're even trying to sleep, and then kind of walking you through helping to define what your sleep challenges might be, because what's challenging to you might actually be supportive to someone else. So it's really looking at your individual experience. Because, for example, caffeine, for some people, I'm hypersensitive to caffeine. So if I'm going to have it, I've got to have it in the morning. Um, but for other people, especially like this is known with ADHD people, if some individuals when they have caffeine, it actually makes them tired and helps them to sleep, which I find very interesting because it just like gets my hamster wheel
Yes.
spinning. And then in my chapter, I'm walking you through different sleep practices to really get you in that mode, wind you down, get your nervous system calmed down. So there's some yoga sequences that you can do to really kind of wind down your physical body. And I partnered with Shannon Urizari. She's a yoga instructor. So I partnered with her in developing a couple of there's a movement sequence and then a restorative sequence. So you can pick and choose whatever you want. And then there's a practice on connecting with spirit and your higher self to kind of download any intuitive messages that you might have. Get that all down on paper, kind of process any mental information that you have coming in. So that's all out. It's out on the page. And then I include a practice. It's a guided meditation and an energy work practice to really lead you into relaxing sleep experience. So,
Oh, that
yeah.
is so awesome. I love it. I love it. I mean, just such a great variety of what's in the book, the different
Yeah.
techniques and the different uh, areas that you share. I love it. I love it. It's a gift. Do you see yourself writing another book soon? What's any plans for the future?
I have a couple of projects in the works. They're kind of a different vein. I have an illustrated book of poetry that I've been working on, which is completely different. And then I actually have a medical guide. It's like a survival guide for people with endometriosis and their related conditions that I was working on for a while and had to set aside while I was writing The Secret Psychic and then working on this lovely book. But yeah, I'm going to be coming back to those projects too.
I love it. I love it. I bet it was a lot of fun putting this together and sharing, with other authors, their contributions. And it really is a overall great book for just different things. And I do have to ask you, as a fellow Reiki practitioner, I love that you're a medical Reiki master. Tell us a little bit what bringing Reiki into your life has done for you.
I came to it while I was in college. So for me, initially, it was a really lovely self-soothing practice. And I really liked sharing it with my friends and especially my family. I can remember going home for the holidays at one point and someone having a migraine, and I was like, well, I've learned this practice. Do you want me to try it? And her migraine went away. And it was just like shocking to me. Just like, oh my gosh, like I can feel this energy moving. And in theory, I get it and I feel like it could work, but when it actually works, it's kind of like, oh, okay. um, but then later on, I became a massage therapist and I started incorporating it into my massage sessions, which was really awesome. And sometimes it was really powerful for the clients. So yeah, that was a really, really good experience.
It really is life changing. It really is. I've been doing it about 20 years, and I just think Reiki is so wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. I was going through, I was at an event where I was signing books, and anyone who wanted their book signed, I would give them a brief session of Reiki just for a few minutes. And
Oh,
it was
fun.
just so fun connecting with people. And um, it was a really, every time I do it, I'm always amazed of like, wow, this is really real. I can feel it and they can feel it. And it's it's really amazing.
It is. It is. Oh my gosh. And what you see over the years and
Yeah,
experience, it's a wonderful thing. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. I cherish it. And then animals, of course, love the Reiki.
yeah,
They
yeah. What
do.
I used to do sessions at my house, and my cat would always come and lie underneath the table. That was her. She did not like people. She liked me and my husband and no one else. So her actually coming into the room and being in a close proximity to someone else was kind of amazing.
Oh,
But yeah.
yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. And back to finding your calm. How would you say um it relates to spirituality in our everyday life? What do you say about that?
Well, I feel like spirituality has a lot to do with authentically connecting with yourself and with your higher self and with your core energy. And when we are stressed and in that mode of anxiety, like we can end up really disconnected from the self. And so I feel like a lot of this work where we're tuning into our own energy and calming the nervous system and reconnecting with the self, in that way, it opens the door to more intuition, inner insights, and just that authentic connection with self that I feel like leads to those spiritual experiences.
Yeah, because really, when you say that, being able to bring that calmness to ourselves, oh my gosh, what that can open up for us.
Right.
Healing and how we feel and joy and all of that. Calm is really an important, wonderful thing for us, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. And as someone personally who has a constantly racing mind, I call it constellation thoughts. It's like one thought leads to another, and
Yeah,
another, and you're
yeah,
just bouncing always. It can be really hard to sit still and be in stillness because mentally, internally, I'm always in motion. So it can be really jarring to try to center and calm and allow myself to be calm. And so part of this practice and reading all of these insights and different ideas is finding what works for you and maybe what doesn't, you know. Some of this might not work for you. So one of the things that I have found really works for me of like settling in and tuning in is I have this light. It's a fiber optic light that my brother earned from selling candy bars in elementary school. And I just sit and I watch this light. It turns, and we had a Christmas tree, a little one that was like that. It turned and it played O Tannenbaum. And I remember going in the basement in the dark and just sitting and staring at it forever and just like listening to the music, and it was very hypnotic. And so now I've incorporated that practice that I had in childhood, and I watch this light, I'll put on a song that maybe I really love or I find soothing, and that's my way of sitting in stillness and finding a focus and finding my calm. It's one of my core practices that I use.
Yeah. And that's so true that we're all different. And so we all can have different techniques and different ways that really can bring us our calm.
Right.
And that's what's so great about the book, having so many different topics. Everybody can kind of relate more to one, and one will, we're unique, which is a wonderful thing. And, exploring the different avenues of finding peace and calm. There's a lot of tools and avenues out there that I think in our busy life we forget about or are unaware of.
Yep, definitely.
Oh, wow. So what's your biggest goal with this book for others? What did your heart really, prompt with writing this book?
Well, I feel like at its heart, the work that I'm doing and that I feel like a lot of the authors that I'm connected with are doing is that, it's really about feeling and being in our experience and our emotion and connecting with our authentic selves in mind, body, and spirit. And in that way, as I said, in terms of like spirituality, it's a way that we get closer to who and what we truly are. And that is my hope for this book, is that it's helping people not only find that sense of like stress relief and ease in their life, in their daily life, but also just having that even deeper connection with themselves and their spiritual side.
And that's a step, would you say, we could take every day?
Absolutely, yeah.
A path, it's something we can do every day or, discover. And it can do so much for us in opening some of that up.
Yes.
So really makes it a gift, really makes it a gift. I loved everything about it, and visualization, that's so fun, and so many things. So with a few minutes left in the show, tell us what last vision words you want to share with everybody, and how you want them to feel today.
Oh, geez. That was my Wisconsin voice coming out. Oh, geez. I hope that you can feel just connected to your heart, and maybe my OG's got you some laughter, and that can help us connect to our heart too. But moving forward, if you end up picking up this book, I really hope that you find at least one practice. There are so many practices in the book that are explored, but at least one practice that you can say, this is what I'm going to try doing regularly to try to keep myself on track and connected with the self.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I have to ask, is there a particular technique what out of them, which one is your favorite? What have you really?
I would have to call back to from the practices that are in my chapter. My favorite thing is connecting with spirit. That is at my heart, my core practice and what I'm most passionate about, which is why I wrote the book, The Secret Psychic, because so much of my personal and spiritual practice is based on that spirituality of how our intuition helps us connect with spirit. So that practice in my good sleep chapter on tuning in and connecting with spirit would probably be my favorite one.
Yeah, yeah. So in the Secret Psychic, so would you say that's that will kind of help us connect more with our inner self and our spirituality?
Absolutely, yes. So in that book, I'm really looking at how you're embracing the magic of subtle intuition and natural spirit communication, because it's very natural to us all. And how you can embrace basically what I think of as psychic or intuitive ability is very much a part of my spiritual practice, and it can be for you too. So that's a lot of what I'm exploring in that book.
Oh, I'm excited to check it out. I will check it out. I'm excited. Oh my goodness. You've done so much and you do so much for others. I really want to give you a big heartfelt thank you, my dear.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yes. And your awesome books and caring is really appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Everybody out there, we were just love having you with us today. And check out Angela's books, Angela Wicks, and you will thoroughly enjoy them. I'm going to be traveling soon, and I've already decided I am taking this with me and do lots of practices when I have time and just thoroughly enjoy it. Thank you, everyone. Love, hugs, and blessings. Angela, thank you so much. Love, hugs, and blessings. It's been great getting to know you.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, dear.